watching the Mystical Green Beanie.
Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie. First things first, sorry for this video being late. I recorded this a few days ago and the audio was just terrible. I used the wrong setting on my mic and it just was super echoey and super terrible, and I'm just gonna do this over again. So anyways, today I'm gonna talk about the first issue of Batman White Knight, which came out last week. So this is a comic that's written by Sean Murphy and also drawn by Sean Murphy, and the colors were done by Matt Hollingsworth. Now, for me personally, going into this book, I was excited, but I was also kind of nervous, mainly because as much as I love Sean Murphy and think that he's a fantastic artist, the thing that was worrying me the most was the writing. Now, Murphy by no means is a bad writer. In fact, one of my personal favorite comics is Punk Rock Jesus, which he wrote. But here's the thing. I've been told that Punk Rock Jesus is nowhere near as transcendental as I remember it, and that it feels very much like the ramblings of a teenager who just discovered atheism. And to be fair, when I went back and read it, I can kinda see where the people who think that are coming from. And the more I think about it, when I told Sean Murphy that Punk Rock Jesus changed my life when I was in high school, and he gave me that weird look, he was probably thinking to himself, yeah, but it fucking did. You were 14, you stupid, fat, ugly, unaccomplished piece of shit. Okay, so he probably wasn't thinking that exactly, but that's the vibe I got from him. Well, either that or he was tired, I don't know. Could have been neither one. Anyways, the point is, based off this first issue alone, I think that Murphy's writing has improved, and he does a great job of shocking the reader with natural moments as opposed to just, you know, being absurd for the sake of absurdity, which admittedly Punk Rock Jesus does have to some extent. But yeah, now I'm just jumping all over the place. Okay, so first things first, as I said, I was pleasantly surprised. I think that Murphy has a solid handle on these characters. It's not exactly my favorite interpretation of these characters, but I feel like if you're a fan of Batman the Animated Series, specifically Season 4, you're going to love this. The core Bat family very much feels like they did in the final season of Batman the Animated Series. Batgirl is very much the right-hand man to Batman. Meanwhile, Nightwing is kind of like the estranged son, and I can't really describe it, but Batman in the Bruce Timm Paul Dini animated universe has a very specific voice, and I feel like Murphy does a great job of not only picking up on that voice, but figuring out what it sounds like when he's being pushed over the edge emotionally and mentally, which is not an easy thing to do. I also find his take on the Joker to be very interesting. So, first things first, he actually gives this version of the Joker a backstory and a name. This version of the Joker has a real name, and it's Jack Napier, which is the former identity of the Joker in the Tim Burton Batman 1989 film. But instead of being a violent mob enforcer, he's just a failed comedian who decided to become a criminal to seek attention. But he doesn't kill people, and I'll talk about that more in just a second. But this version of the Joker is just a regular guy who became a criminal, and his motivation in the series looks like it's going to be to clean up Gotham the way that Batman never could, by deconstructing him and exploiting him, as well as the GCPD legally, and I think that's pretty interesting. Okay, so as I just mentioned, this version of the Joker is not a killer, or at the very least, the severity of his crimes, as they're discussed by the people within the Murphyverse, I guess, if you want to call it that. So in the Murphyverse, Joker's not a real killer, but he is described as being violent. And I say that because there's a panel in which Joker's only real charge is armed robbery. Okay, actually, the more I think about it, my former analysis does not make any sense. Yeah, okay, I'm confused now. So, wait, Sean Murphy's version of the Joker is billed as the most dangerous villain in Gotham, but he's not a mass murdering psychopath. Huh, that's weird. Anyways, I mean, it works within the context of the story so far, but if you try to think about it too hard, it starts to break down. But again, it's only the first issue, so we'll see if that's cleared up later on. As for the Joker's motivation, as I previously stated, he wants to deconstruct Batman legally and politically, which I find fascinating, and I don't think I've seen that done before. Well, with the Joker at least. Like, Joker is throwing some serious legal action at Batman and the GCPD, and this obviously causes the citizens of Gotham to discuss their feelings on Batman and how he affects their city socially and politically. And speaking of which, that's actually something that I want to talk about. Politics seem to play a major role in this comic, because this feels like a comic that's commenting on police brutality and corruption, and how at the end of the day, with Batman being a tool of the GCPD, his actions against the criminals of Gotham is a form of police brutality, and the Commissioner's willingness to work with a vigilante who is not only not a deputized officer of the law, but a dangerous one-man army who is outfitted with unlicensed vehicles and weapons of mass destruction is criminal action. And not just against him, but against the city of Gotham as well. And finally, let's talk about the thing that I'm sure everyone who read this comic picked it up for, the art. The art's fantastic. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Sean Murphy is easily one of the best artists working in the industry today. His style is so unique. It's cartoonish, but it also has this grit to it that I really like. But I also really love the colors in this book. Matt Hollingsworth really captures the tone of Murphy's art and storytelling. It's moody and muddy and dark and cold and violent, and the colors really bring that to the forefront, elevating Murphy's already fantastic pencils and inks. And so far, one of my favorite pages in the book is where the Joker wakes up in his cell and he's surrounded by a bunch of Batman memorabilia, and that was really cool from a fanboy perspective. As for the designs, Gotham itself is fantastic. Sean Murphy has posted on Twitter some of the inspirations for the buildings and whatnot. So if you're interested in seeing the inspiration for some of the landscapes and locations, check out Sean Murphy's Twitter or Instagram if he has one. And yeah, it's just really cool seeing the Gotham that he's building from the ground up. I also really love the design of the Joker and Batgirl. Joker's just kind of like this soccer hooligan, and he has like multiple costumes. It's just really cool, and I love the way that Murphy is presenting the Joker physically. And I love Batgirl's costume. Batgirl just has a really cool costume. I don't know what to say other than that. But Batman and Nightwing do feel a bit off for me personally. I am not a huge fan of Nightwing wearing a leather jacket. Also, I'm just not a fan of Batman's arms. The gauntlets, they're not there, and that just that bugs me a little bit. But aside from that, everything else looks cool, especially the Batmobile. This is hands down in my top 10 favorite Batmobiles of all time. It it actually looks like a police spinner from Blade Runner. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, all in all, a really good first issue. Again, I'm a little confused when it comes to the Joker's characterization and how he's described as being the most dangerous criminal that Gotham has ever had, but he never actually killed anybody. And for me, that's a big deal with the character. But that aside, everything else was really cool, and I'm excited to see where the series goes in the following 7 issues. But yeah, those are my thoughts. But what about you? What did you think of the first issue? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your read on Murphy's version of the Joker? I'm curious to know what other people thought. So, let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you have to do is subscribe. I'm the Mystical Green Beanie. Thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.